morning when we wake up, we go to school. In school, teachers teach us school subjects and we study them. These patterns are always repeated. Sometimes I feel bored. And I wonder, why do I go to school? What is the another way of learning? So today I can answer my question. I think homeschooling is a good way to learn. Let's check the meaning of homeschooling. Homeschooling is when students study what they want and study by themselves or by parents. Homeschool students don't have competition, so they don't have stress from competing with each other. Why is competition is important? Every year there are lots of students who commit suicide. School competition is a big part of the reason, because there are many bad competitions in school have. Teachers discriminate against students who aren't top students. Top students have good images and people believe they are winners. So all those students only want to get good grades, even though they don't know their life's dream. But they are teenagers. Teenagers have to find their dream. If their grade is bad, they easily think they are losers. They get depressed.
They get depressed.
And lose control and leads them to tragedy. But homeschooling can reduce this bad competition problem. Many people think homeschooling can't teach social skills, but I think that is wrong. There are lots of ways to develop social skills. Students can do volunteer service, travel, school activities, and go to academies or community center. Throughout these activities, homeschool students meet up people and make friends, and they get a good competition. They can learn social tips and social skills too, so they can also experience socializing. Real education is studying by themselves and getting knowledge for their dream. In school, every student learns the same things and same subjects. Teachers don't like special students and they don't care about special students' special talents. There are many students who the teacher cares for. So if the teacher focuses on a special student, the other students lose their time. A special student is careful, so the other students, that student is a problem child, and this makes school violence. Homeschooling lets students study their interests, and they can raise their focus and learning ability. They can find their own ideas on that subject, and they will improve and can be more competitive and creative. There are many good points on homeschooling. I strongly believe homeschooling is a good way to study.
Thank you. Tell you about today's topic. Homeschooling is a good form of education. Some students don't go to school. They just stay at home instead of going to school. They study with their parents or other experts who may teach them as well. Sometimes they study by themselves, so they can go on camping trips or do something in their extra time. So this is a good point for some people, but I don't think so. I think a student needs to have a regular lifestyle like going to school. I think a school is a small society in our life. First, the smallest society is family, and next is a school. So if we don't go to school, we can't become close with our community. I will explain that point more in my first argument. First, homeschooling doesn't have any competition or teachers cooperation. When we go to school, we have competition with friends and classmates. But homeschooling can't give us competition or teachers cooperation. Many people think that isn't a big problem to homeschool students. But when we grow up, we need competition and cooperation in society. Also, we need some motivation from failure. So school is the place where we can learn what is cooperation and competition is from when we first enter to school. When these skills are taught to us, we can be successful in the future. So I think homeschooling isn't good for us at this point. Second, our country doesn't have any guidelines and backup programs for homeschooling students. In other countries, homeschooling programs are common, but in our country it isn't. So we don't have any programs from the government for homeschool students. But school used academical guidelines from the government and teachers are master in their field. If your parents aren't greater than school teachers, you can have a good education and perfect system for learning. So homeschooling system without clear guideline isn't idle. So when we grow up, there can be a great gap between students from regular schools and students from homeschooling in their academical achievement. So in my opinion, homeschooling isn't a good form of education. Thank you for listening.
Some children are going to the school for education, but there are some students who are studying at home instead going to school. We call them homeschooling students. I think homeschooling is a good way of education.
Slow down.
Most of students who are doing homeschooling are special cases. These cases can be genius, victim, or attacker of school violence. Also, underachieved students in school studying. For them, when they do homeschooling, they don't have to get stressed from the school. Next, actually, school is one of group studying and homeschooling is personality studying. Let's compare school and homeschooling. If same amount of time is given, the student who did homeschooling can be learned more exactly and more things than school studying. In homeschooling, a teacher only focuses for one student, so we can learn more exactly, I think. Then, which way will you choose for education? I would choose homeschooling. And also, sometimes we can't give some questions about our curious things about what we learned today. The reason we can't ask can be a lot, like teacher's problem or be aware from our school classmates. How about homeschooling? We don't have to be aware from others or there won't be teacher's problem. So we can learn more comfortable than school when we do homeschooling. Many of students want to do homeschooling instead of studying at school now. I think homeschooling has many good points and also it doesn't matter if we apply to the society. So I think homeschooling is a good way of education.
Today, homeschooling is a big concerning news. Homeschooling is when students are studying by themselves or their parents are teaching them. If students are doing homeschooling, they can study freely rather than in a normal school.
Slow down.
Anyway, homeschooling can have both sides, good sides and a bad sides. I think homeschooling is a good form of education, so I will explain about why homeschooling is good. First, today school violence is a serious problem. Some students can adjust to school life. There are few cases. Some students are physically weak. Some students are too much selfish and can't make friends. Some students' family background is poor. Students can solve these problems by themselves. They are just a teenager. They need help from others. Finally, students have extreme stress. Sometimes they choose to commit suicide. But if they do homeschooling, they don't have to suffer from school violence. Second, sometimes my parents help me study a school subject. At the time, I can tell my ideas freely to my parents than teacher because I feel familiar with them. They know me well and love me the most. So this free atmosphere of studying is best point about homeschooling. In school, even when I have questions, it can be hard to ask to teacher because the teachers are very busy. They can listen my idea. Third, homeschooling is more free than normal school. In most schools, students study math, English, Korean, and social study. That's what we call a regular curriculum. But homeschooling is different. They can study what they want. For example, if I want to study music, I can focus on studying music instead of other topics. There is a better way to study. When they study all subjects in a one day, they can focus all subjects. So I strongly believe homeschooling is a good form of education. Thanks to listening.